You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Wole and Mo are your host. Ray Jeezy is out. We also had a homie, Mike Hardge, co-host of the Sports Grind on iHeart Radio, AM 1300 The Zone, and Ticket 760, which is in Austin, Texas. Hey, Mike, what is good, my man?
Man, it's always good chopping it up with you brothers, man. It's been that time. I've been waiting for that phone call to say, yo, let's get it on. Man, you know, every time Washington and Dallas get together, it's about to be popping. And this weekend, FedEx Field, what happened, dog? Holla at your boy.
Hey, bro, you know what? Last time I had you on last year, and I think the Washington won last year. You know what I'm saying? Now we're doing the video thing. We can see each other now. We can see where we coming from. I can't even hide now. You know, I got to kind of take it all in.
And neither can I.
See, your hide is good, though, Mike.
Yeah.
They gonna say your hide is good. Mine is negative, man. I got to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go under the table and stuff, man. I ain't really trying to see this.
man. I'm thankful to be on with you guys. It's always fun chopping it up, especially when you get this little banter. You know, y'all representing the WFT, and I'm over here rocking with the Cowboys.
Got that star on. I see you. I see where you coming from.
But see, you and I were texting and going back and forth, and this is the thing about this rivalry, man. It's trying to get back to those olden days where people really got it in and really cared about their squad, and people are battling for positions. And we know over the years, it's always coming down to the end of the season where every game matters, that conference, the divisional games, and everybody's like, man, it's coming down to the last game. We still got a shot at it. And we got it early this year. And the rivalry was renewed when the Cowboys ordered their own benches. Ordered their own benches.
I thought that was, for real, and we'll get all into it, but I ain't had no problem with that. Mo, did you? I ain't had a problem with that. No. Do you think that was a big issue?
I know, man. Listen, man. You know, the home team is always going to try to make it as uncomfortable as possible for the away team, and you know, being a big rivalry. That's talking about Washington football team had a 4-game winning streak. Dallas knew that they weren't going to cut them any slack and give them any favors. They had to come bring their own artillery on and off the field. So they took care of their own business.
Yeah.
I actually thought, for me, I felt like it added to the rivalry. I think it's good. I think to me that's what it's about. I feel like you're trying to build. You're talking about, Mike, how it used to be. Like, this is something that helps build the rivalry. You know, there's a lot of elements. We'll get into it, but hold on. Also, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and go everything with Urban Sports Scene. Also, tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Also, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll talk with Mike about the Washington football team losing to the Dallas Cowboys, and then later on we'll talk about their upcoming game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But back to it, Mike, about the rivalry. I think it was good. It's dope to have all of that elements. Mike McCarthy guaranteeing victory. You know what I mean? I think all that is good for the rivalry. I know fans here were kind of pissed off, like, oh, he shouldn't say that and whatever. But you growing up, in this Washington Dallas rivalry, a lot of stuff was going on. You felt the passion, you felt the anger. You want to have these players feel a particular way. You know what I'm saying? Like for Mike McCarthy, that's probably adding more fuel for the players, right? Now they amped up, like, oh, my coach got to say this. We got to have my coaches back. I got to have the next man's back to show what my coaches said this is going to happen. Like, we're going to beat the Washington football team. I know he was showing tape of old games and whatnot. So, yeah, I just feel like it didn't bother me. I got it. Like, I understood it. Put it that way.
Yeah, me too, because at the end of the day, what did you want him to say? Oh, we're going to go out there, we're going to play a good ball game, and we're just going to go out there and battle. Man, look, every game, it's hard to win games in the NFL. It's hard to win a game, period, because there's so much talent that is out there regardless, and everybody's got to understand, these guys are getting paid. Both groups are getting paid. I don't care what the record is. You could get beat by anybody at any given time. And the fact that we still have this rivalry where everybody was hyping up Washington. They were in the mix. They had that win streak coming in, and this is what it's all about. Cowboys have to play them twice in 3 weeks. They have to play the divisional games, and they're still Cowboys are jockeying for position. Well, Washington's trying to get into the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
So what do you think is supposed to be said? I'm so sick and tired of listening to people say, well, you shouldn't say this. Or this is a competitive ass sport. Mm-hmm. Guys are out there trying to knock each other's heads off. And we'll get into it in a minute because we talked about this too when Andy Dalton got hit last year.
Yeah.
That's when the rivalry should have started.
Yeah.
That's when it should have been even more so because nobody went to Andy Dalton's defense. Dak gets hit this week. Lyle Collins comes over. He gets thrown out of the game for protecting Dak. And I think it was because everybody was tired of hearing about the fact that nobody was helping. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that pissed me off last year is like, why is nobody helping Andy Dalton? I know he's not a quote unquote cowboy and he ain't the quarterback, but he's your quarterback. And he's playing for the Dallas Cowboys. So somebody should have got smoked during that game. Somebody should have caught some hands.
You know what?
If I'm the quarterback and I get hit like that and nobody on my team comes out to help me, we got a problem in the locker room.
It's cool to see the other side. You know what I mean? Like it really is. You know, it's cool to see the other side because when I remember talking to you about it, and I was like, we talking about the guaranteed victory and whatever. We were talking to each other on the like texting each other and whatnot. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. Like I never thought about the Andy Dalton thing. Like that was I never thought about it. Like, I never thought about it, right? Like I didn't think about it. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, if I was a Cowboy fan, I would be pissed off with that too. Because that hit was kind of messed up. Yeah, I get you. And then now you bring it back to even like call it like when you shoved Dak out of bounds. Though I will say that wasn't that bad though. Like the shove wasn't that bad though. Like it wasn't.
Everything is bad now, man. Because you don't think about it. Everybody on edge, right?
It was a little tap, man. Listen, it wasn't even like he's barely, man. He real talk. Hey, Dak deserves an Academy Award on that. I ain't gonna
lie. I'm paying my quarterback excess of $70 million this season. He's coming off of season-ending injury last year. Anything along the sideline,
man. It was like the pinky finger pushed the dude, and he flew.
He didn't get a manicure. He didn't get a manicure. He went too far.
But back to what you were saying, Wole. You call this a rivalry. I think, man, this is only a rivalry because of what happened in the 90s, man. Washington football teams won 3 out of the last 10. This ain't been a rivalry in a long time.
No, bro, it's a rivalry. We talking about it's a rivalry. It is.
It's like, a rivalry for historical purposes because
it's a rivalry. Yeah, but it's still like, I mean, like you got Ohio. Look, I'm a Michigan Ohio State fan. It's a rivalry. Ohio State been drubbing us. They've been killing us.
I get you, Wole. What I'm saying is, in essence, the vitriol that you were looking for. The vitriol that you were looking for, this ain't been a rivalry in a long time.
Right, it's a rivalry. She just said this is the Giants fan talking. Like I'm gonna say it again. You gotta have 2 Cowboy fans. This is probably how you have the real. You can't have a Giants fan talk about Washington. They outsiders, bro. They don't get it. They don't get it.
Mike, if I take it before this season, it's been 16 games in a season, right?
Yeah.
Right. If I take it back to the last 16.
Of course. I mean, if you look at it,
the football team is
last 3.
They drafted in the top 5 and 11.
Bro, the Cowboys don't. The Cowboys don't even doing like that. Either. All I'm telling you is like, I'm telling you, it's a rivalry, bro. Like,
keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. It's only considered a rivalry.
No, it's a rivalry.
They won the 2 games last year when Dak was out, and they won the division. I
don't care about those.
Right? They won the division.
And it's a divisional game. So
right.
They're divisional game too, bro. Yeah. Look, man. Hey, look.
We catching you this week. So hold on.
He a giant. He a giant. Yeah. Here he go. Look, he's going. Watch it.
Mike, I need all of your help to get that top pick, okay?
Yeah.
Look, now that's where you at now.
I got you.
That's where you at now, man.
We can get to
Chicago's losing right now also. So I got 2 top 6 picks right now. If you ask me, Daniel Jones, a couple of those two, go give me Deshaun Watson. I see you guys next year.
Okay, now we talking about the Giants. Look at him.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about no Giants, Mo.
But let's get back. Let's get back
to Washington.
We ain't talking about the Giants. All right, man. The Cowboys beat Washington 27-20. All right. Yeah. I'm not gonna talk about the win because you already talked. We see that you geeked up. But Mo, well, I'll let you ask the question, Mo. Go ahead, ask the question.
You know what I mean? Like,
I ain't gonna take that away from you.
We know the outcome of the game, all that good stuff, man. But there was a man amongst boys out there this past weekend by the name of Micah Parsons. We seen him dominate the game. He had 2 sacks, a forced fumble, which led to a touchdown, and a bunch of quarterback hurries. He was disruptive all game. Can you talk about his performance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Micah Parsons, I'll be the first to admit, I wasn't really looking at him as on the draft boards for the Cowboys. I thought 2 things. I thought, number one, I thought he might have been gone earlier because he was that disruptive. And everybody always talks about the fact that he didn't play his senior year. He sat out, or not senior year, but the draft year, the COVID year. And that's fair. But there's a lot of guys that sat out during that time. And when you go back and you look at the tape, and they were saying there were some things in his quote unquote character. The last, you know how that goes, right? So when you look at that and you think about the last time Cowboys dealt with a quote unquote character issue was Randy Moss. Moss, they passed on Randy Moss because they were thinking, well, we can't go down that road. And he goes on to be a Hall of Famer. This time I thought that they were going to get one of the defensive backs, whether it was Patrick Surtain, who I really, really wanted, or J.C. Horn, who obviously is a legacy. Those 2 guys are both legacy players as far as family members. But Micah Parsons, when you go back and you look at his college tape and you see how fast this guy was, he runs a 4.3, and he kept saying, I won't stop. And, you know, everybody always talks about it. Everybody's always like, oh, yeah, I'm this dog. I can do this. But when you watch the film and you look at how electric he is and how his pursuit never stops, and each game he's getting better. And I heard the national pundits talking about how, well, you can't put him as the MVP because he had a slow start and all that. Listen, week to week improvement is a sign of a player that's getting better. So if you go at the beginning of the season and you look at what's going on to him right now, why can't he be considered that? He's blowing up running backs. Every running back that tries to block him, he's around the corner. The tackles can't block him on the edge. They're lining him up at middle linebacker. They're lining him up at the edge rusher. The versatility in which he continues to show every single game. And he's mad when they take him out of the game. When's the last time you seen a player get upset for being taken out of the game? It's been a long time. People are always tapping on their helmets, talking about get me out. This dude is mad. He's trying to tell people to stay back, call a timeout, leave me in the game because I'm going to make a play. He is an absolute beast on the football field. And I don't know. I got to give a lot of credit to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn putting him in the right position and letting him be the best player. You know, we remember those days in Seattle when they were the Legion of Boom, where he was moving people around, and Earl Thomas and Joey Browner and Cam Chancellor and the linebackers, they were moving them around. He can play any position on the field and still whip your butt to get to the quarterback. I'm so impressed with this guy. And, you know, everybody's comparing him to the season that comparing him to Lawrence Taylor. But the thing that I always tell people is don't compare him to anyone because he's becoming himself. The thing you need to look at is the projection in which he's performing at and if he can continue to keep it up. Because I personally don't see any way that he is going to slow down strictly because he's so versatile.
Yeah, he is, man. He's real versatile. Only, you know, always like, prayers for health. That's the only thing that for a player
as
like
always,
that.
As always,
prayers to health. But you know, he's just that talented. I tweeted this, and I totally, when I see it, kind of he reminds me of him. But I just think he's a better version. I mean, Micah Parsons is a better version. He reminds me of LeVar Arrington, but just a better version. Like very similar. They're both went to Penn State, both rock number 11. They're very similar in terms of what they were capable of doing in terms of athletic ability. Like they both LeVar, when he came out of Penn State, was like 4.4, 4.3. Outside, Washington was supposed to, he wanted to make him just a regular linebacker, but they ended up putting him on the D line at times. He would get 10 sacks one year, and he
retired Troy Aikman.
Yeah, and even
he retired.
I didn't want to go
Aikman.
there. See, I wasn't even trying to
talk about Cowboys.
Okay, yeah, he did that.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
Yeah, he retired Troy, but there was a lot. But Micah, to me, is just a little bit. Micah Parsons is just a little bit more. I'm real talk. He's just a little bit more like, and he's what. But they're very similar to me in that aspect, just off physical ability. They're just very similar. But Micah Parsons just has an extra motor, though. It's an extra motor, though. Yeah. And it's just amazing. Like, when you're talking about, like, he not wanting to come out, I was like, come on, coach, just take him out. Take him out. He don't need to be on the field no more. Take him out. He's done enough. Like, because to me, just watching that game, I haven't seen this since I was younger. Since I was watching Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. That man singly beat the Washington football team. Like, I totally believe, like, he singly beat the Washington football team. There was nothing they can do with them. He created so much havoc in terms of stopping the run. You can see, like, when Gibson tried to hit the hole and he was there, go straight down. The sacks, the constant pressures. Like, they had to try to find ways to chip him. They tried to chip him. So as the game went on, he was in the heads of that whole squad, the whole squad, to a point where I was like, yeah, man, like, we're number 11 now. And you could tell, they're like, we're number 11 now. We're number 11. You can see it. Like, that man.
I like what Mo said. Mo kept saying, the way that he was putting that pressure and constant hurrying on Heineke and even Kyle Allen when he came in. Yeah. It's unheard of because it's constant. It's constant. I've never seen the relentlessness in a long time from any Dallas Cowboy football player. Mm-hmm. That's the other part of it too, because as a Cowboy fan, I've suffered through a lot, just like you guys. I mean, I'm not,
Well, I've suffered. He's a Giants fan, so he's a Giants fan. He's what they win. They want to talk.
I'm in the midst of my suffering.
They sprinkle every once in a while. They get like that little
right. They get a little juice.
They get a little juice every once in a while.
Yeah. And you look at the draft and you say, how did this one fall into our hands? And it was because people jumped up to go get that, or somebody traded back to go and thinking that they found their quote unquote guy. But when you look at the draft boards and Jerry Jones saying he was at the top of it, and the one thing that I always like with the NFL and a lot of the national pundits, they always go, let's go back and redraft.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of those guys that you're looking at and
so
you
say,
messed up. Damn, I should have got that dude. Like, because he's a difference maker immediately.
But you know why this? I mean, I always think the NFL GMs they overthink things. They're just so stupid because before the draft started, before we got closer to the draft, when the college football season was over, he was a top 5 pick.
He was a top 5 player.
Yes. Exactly. No, he was a top 5 pick. A lot of people board.
Yes.
Arguably, I'm even being nice by saying top 5. Or being nice. I'm being like, it's closer than that. It was closer than that. Like, he was better than the kid out of BYU. He was better than the only person that argue, like, you could say he wasn't for a lot on other boards other than Trevor Lawrence. That was like the overall consensus, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he was it. It was Micah Parsons. Other than that,
man, these people are so crazy, man.
It's real. Like, they get closer. They
get closer to the draft. He don't have no film for the year, right? Yeah. He don't have no film for the year. So you've already assessed the film. You said he was top 5 before going into the year, and he wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
So there's no new information on him. The only new information on him is nothing but positive. He ran 4.3 a couple of times in training. That's all you heard.
Yeah, and the BS crap they try to bring up, that BS negative crap.
And then all of a sudden, he's a bully in the locker room.
A bully in the locker. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He's hazing people. There's a civil case around him. And you know what I'm thinking in my mind? How is a kid that didn't even play his junior year in college going to come into the league and haze grown men?
Exactly.
Right? He's going to come into a locker room. He's going to haze the grown men?
Yeah.
That's going to stop me from drafting that.
Right.
Everybody that didn't draft him deserve everything.
They deserve it. Like they deserve. They deserve
everybody
it.
That didn't draft
it's the same. It's the same. Like to your point, it's the same. It's the Randy Moss effect. Real talk. It is a Randy Moss effect.
That was the most bogus reason not to draft a player of this ilk.
Yeah,
about the kid stands at 6'3", he weighs close to 250. He's not even like a 220-pound linebacker. He's like 240 something.
Right.
And like and he's gifted. Like this is how gifted he is. Like he's not really like if you watch the Penn State, he's a real linebacker. This is why it kills. This is like so vicious that like he can sack the quarterback easy. Like he's so gifted.
Went to linebacker. He went to
linebacker. You like this is what I'm saying. Like
and you're finding you're going out of your way, loops and going around to go find things that's wrong with him. For what?
It's terrible, man.
For what?
It's terrible.
And just think a lot of people get paid a lot of money to mess up the draft.
And we sit at home and we do a better job.
All the time.
Yeah. Right.
Because again, they overthink it. They want to show that they're the smartest person in the room. Like they can find a diamond in the rough.
Don't
rather
get me
than
wrong.
just like it is what it is. Sometimes it just is what it is.
Don't get me wrong. When I play Madden, I try to construct complete teams, you know. I might go at, you know, I might need the corner, but I'm like, you know, if I get the linebacker, this corner's woes won't be as bad, yada yada. I get it.
Yeah.
If it's between Pat Surtain and him, I get it. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I get it. Like I can't.
I'll probably go get the corner because corner was such a gap for me last year.
Yeah, I get it. I get Pat Surtain.
I get it. Right. But it has to be a player of that caliber. It has to be J.C. Horn. It has to be Pat Surtain. I'm not letting Michael Parsons go when I could potentially put him in the middle of my defense and he can be
forever.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's why I wanted Chase and Micah together, man. It was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
like then y'all stole him from me. Y'all stole Micah. Like I had to play.
We ain't steal him. He just fell into the lap. Fell into our lap.
The Cowboys tried to give him away too, and then they
didn't want him either. They didn't want him early either. You saw how long it took him. You saw how long it took him to get that card in
I know. That's why I was hoping I wasn't. I know that
trade with the Eagles.
Right. Yeah, we went backwards.
Yeah, we went backwards. Cowboys went backwards. Like I even look, bro. Like real talk. I was even like, because I was even when I was watching draft, like, oh man, Michael Parsons getting close. We got to trade up now. This is close enough. Like this is it. I had a gauge of where you can jump, and he was right there. He was actually right there on the gauge. I was like,
when they said
he was on the gun line. He was on the gun line, boss. He was there.
When they said the Giants are on the clock, man, I took a victory lap.
We got him.
I came back. And they said the Giants have traded Dan. I said, what?
I'm serious, man. Yeah. I knew he was a prize of the draft, man. Sometimes you just know, man. He was. You just know. You just know, man. You just know.
Wole, tell the listeners what they're listening to, man.
All right, man. You're listening to All Burgundy and Go Errrything with the Urban Sports Team right now. Well, excuse me, but All Burgundy and Gold with the Urban Sports Team. I'm sorry, I'm used to saying something else. Right now, we're chatting with Mike Hardge, co-host of the Sports Grind on iHeart Radio, AM 1300 The Zone, and the Ticket 760, which is in Austin, Texas. So, Mike, Mike McCarthy came out, guaranteed victory. Mm-hmm. I personally think that he got under Coach Rivera's skin. I think he was played mind games with him. I think you can probably tell by watching that football game with Coach Rivera going for it on fourth down in a position where I don't think he needed to, which led off to the sack fumble for the touchdown. So your thought process, what did you think that McCarthy guaranteeing victory did for his football team?
Well, here's the biggest thing for me, for McCarthy, him guaranteeing the victory, it's to the point now where Mike McCarthy was on the ropes for the Dallas Cowboys. And a lot of Cowboys fans have been, and I've been very, very critical of him from day one. When the Cowboys hired him, I was in his corner. After he got on the field and he started making these bonehead mistakes, not clock management, not doing the things that he needed to do, not making adjustments, and then having a subpar year last year, he was on the clock for me. This year, obviously, last year was because of Dak. This year, coming into it, I think he needed to set a tone. I think the biggest acquisition that he had was Dan Quinn. I thought that was something that, okay, Can he come in and coach defense? Defense was atrocious. Cowboys come back. They start playing better defense. But for me, in that situation where he came in and said, I guarantee, we're going to win. Yeah, that's what we're going there for. I didn't have a problem with it. But the only thing is, don't write checks that your team may or may not be ready to cash for you. Mm-hmm. But again, these are grown-ass men. There's no reason for anybody to need motivation from a coach of another team that is saying something for you to be able to go out there and perform your duties, period. We're grown. We ain't got time for that. So if people want to say something, go out there and play the game and see what happens. But for me, Mike McCarthy has always, since he's been here, he's put me on edge. He's put me on this little thing to where it's like, is he going to mess up the clock? Is he going to put the right plays in? Is he even calling the damn plays? I don't even know anymore. Kellen Moore was supposed to be this boy genius. Now Kellen Moore looks like just a boy right now. You know what I'm saying? He's not even he's not the genius anymore because he's being exposed. And now Dak's running around confused. He's not doing the things. I'm all for Dak getting his money, but I'm also like, okay, now you got to start beating some teams with a winning record. You have to start showing up. You get out 24-0 against the Washington football team, and you score 3 points in the second half. Dak's seeing ghosts. He's throwing to a dude that's standing right in front of him. I don't know how he thought that dude was open. He threw it straight to the linebacker. He runs it back. So my question is Mike McCarthy, the quote-unquote guru of the offensive side of the ball, and our boy genius and Kellen Moore, who everybody thought was going to be the next head coach for another team, are they able to take that next step? Because right now, I know we're playing the Giants this week, and he's already telling me, hey, Mo's like, come on, man, help me with this loss. So but I'm worried about it because it is a divisional game. It is quote unquote a rivalry, even though the numbers may not say so. It is still a rivalry because it's a divisional game, and the G-men hate the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys take the G-men as well.
You can take that base out of that G. They ain't nothing to support that. So, I mean, I wasn't mad at McCarthy. You should have ultimate confidence in your team. This is the game to guarantee of all games because it is been a historic rivalry. They did beat you twice last year, and you only felt like they beat you twice last year because you were missing your quarterback. So, I like how assertive he was in his statement. I like Coach Rivera's response back to it. I'm not laying down to any comment that anybody on any team has to say. It's not even a matter of being macho, but I'm not having that. We're gonna have to settle this on the field on Sunday, and that's gonna be that. You say something, I'm gonna say something, but ultimately it come between them lines, right?
Yeah.
Dallas was the better team on Sunday. I'm sure Washington will look completely different in 2 weeks when they play again because they can't be that atrocious. They can't repeat that. They can't repeat how bad they look.
Yeah, offensively. Offensively.
Yeah.
But offensively.
Yeah. They can't repeat how bad they look offensively.
Offensively, it was horrible.
Taylor Heineke looked every bit of
a backup.
Yeah, every bit of a backup. He looked every bit of what his naysayer said. He was coming off probably his best 4-game stretch ever. Sometimes momentum, sometimes you're deflated. Sometimes a win streak has to come to an end. You can't win them all. So it just imploded. It just imploded. It imploded in a big division game, in a rivalry game, on a nationally televised game, and people are gonna run with that. I'm looking forward to seeing the rematch and seeing how both teams adjust. Right. And if Michael Parsons has the same kind of day.
There you go.
Earlier we said that we hadn't seen this type of, I want to see the NFL catches up to people. I want to see them start scheming for him. And I'm not saying that he hasn't put enough on tape in his rookie year, but generally your second, third year, they start to get more tape on you. They start to focus on you, unless you're just one of those Aaron Donalds, JJ Watts of the world, Von Millers.
Yeah.
If he's in that category, then that's just that. I mean, just count it up.
Yeah, I mean, so there's something. There's definitely something about for the next meeting. Something about you seeing the beast up close and personal. So you know now what to feel, how it's gonna feel like.
You got to be
I'm not
prepared.
saying like, I ain't saying it's gonna change anything. I ain't saying all that. But you now know what to expect. Like you put your hand in the fire, you felt it, it burned, it hurt a lot. Now you know how it feels. You know the temperature, you know what the smoke like. So now you just going, when you see it, you're gonna know. You're gonna brace yourself a little bit more.
You done synced it.
You're gonna brace yourself a little bit more. When number 11 fires that gap, you're gonna be like, oh, it felt like that. Okay, now I'm a little bit prepared to see how this is gonna feel. So I mean, but yeah, I feel like, you know, the Cowboys have questions. I mean, the coaching staff has interesting that you talk about, you know, your OC. I thought he's gonna be the next coach of the, I thought he's gonna be the next head coach of the squad. But I mean that I thought it was weird. No, to your point though, I know, right? I thought it was weird though. I won't lie to you, because I had changed the channel like for a hot second. I was like, it's game over. So I had changed channel, wanted to see what the Baltimore game on. Could be that's our little other station out here. So and then it was like the pick six happened, right? And I'm thinking to myself, why are they even throwing a football? Right. Games, like there's nothing that Washington can do. Why are they even throwing a football? There's really no need to. Like if you hold, they won't have. If you go back and
you look at the Cowboy games, it's because of the same thing when Tony Romo was involved. You have a good running game. They check out of a play, or the Jason Garrett used to want to call all the passing plays because they were trying to put up numbers. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make football sense for you to go out there and do that. Look, my buddy got inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame the other day in Las Vegas. His name is Kenneth Sims. He was the number 1 overall draft pick in 1982 by the New England Patriots. He told me this the other day. He said, smart win more than dumb lose. And that is I've every time he says that to me, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that statement at all. You can't prove it. I mean, there's nothing that he could change. And I think that is what happens when teams think they're smarter and they end up doing dumb things.
I mean,
smart wins more than dumb loses.
You also have to take into consideration that Kellen Moore came from Boise State. You're talking about back when
Boise State are the best, right?
Yes, those are the best Boise State days, right? He's a former quarterback, so he has passing is a little bit more near and dear to his heart, right?
Of course,
right. He comes from a foundation where it was majority spread offense. Back when a lot of people weren't spreading things out, right? With Chris Peterson, right? It was Chris Peterson.
Yep.
So I had one of my high school teammates went to Boise State, played guard up there for 4 years. I don't know if he was the quarterback or if it was the quarterback prior to him, but he was at Boise State when they were Boise State. So you always go back to what is natural to you. He's a former quarterback. He likes to see the ball in the air. The game has evolved. You paid Dak. You have a bona fide stud at quarterback. You have three wide receivers that are all special at what they all do. They all do something elite. Well, not elite, but they all do something very, very good. You know, and then when Zeke isn't churning along the way that you want him to, even though we know you got to commit to the run in order for Zeke, because Zeke wears teams down. But if he's not churning away like that, you're like, oh, I got Dak, I got these 3 receivers, and you have a high propensity to want to throw the ball anyway. So Kellen Moore is just finding his way as a new offensive coordinator. He has to. This is where McCarthy needs to rein him in a little bit.
Absolutely.
This is where McCarthy needs to have that trump card, being a former OC himself and the play caller himself, which is what I don't understand about why he's allowing this play calling. Right. If you understand situation, but then again, I got to think about McCarthy. He probably wasn't doing much work with Aaron Rodgers over there. So
and Brett Favre.
And Brett Favre before that. Cause I know he wasn't doing nothing with Brett Favre, especially a veteran Brett Favre. I know he wasn't doing nothing with him.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. That's where it kind of gets to. But hey, Mike, man, appreciate you being on. Before we let you go, how can our listeners catch your content and catch you on social media, my man?
Yeah, make sure you get over to the at Ticket City at Ticket 760 on Twitter, at AM 1300 The Zone on Twitter. We can follow us on Facebook, same call letters. And then you can also follow me on my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter at Hardball Hardge. As always, fellas, you guys have been doing an unbelievable job. I appreciate y'all always reaching out to me during this Cowboy time. And I can't wait to talk to y'all in a couple of weeks when we bring all that smoke to Dallas, baby.
Oh man, I told somebody else I was on another podcast. I'm all about, I want Washington to be real petty. Like real petty. I want them to be, look, I don't want no guaranteed victory because I don't copycat. I'm not about being
right.
Like I'm all about, I want it to be so, I want to do some TO stuff. Like I don't even care if folks got to fight. We got to fight.
I'm all about fight. Are y'all gonna bring y'all's little raggedy benches up there?
I don't want no bench. See, I don't want copy. See what I just told you? I don't want copy.
Mike,
I'm bringing heaters, dude. I'm bringing heaters. Not heaters, but you know, like real.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hey, come on now. I know this is overseas, baby. I know you're bringing heaters.
I meant real heaters. Not like
hey, Mike, can you repeat those handles again on Instagram and Twitter?
At Ticket 760, at AM 1300 The Zone, and at Hardball Hardge on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
All right, cool. I'm following you now, man. I just, we here now, man.
We fan, baby. We tapped in. That's right. We tapped in.
All right, Mike, man. Appreciate you, man. We're gonna talk.
I appreciate y'all.
We're gonna talk some Eagle stuff, so you ain't gonna be here for this. Don't worry about
it. This is how I always end my podcast, and I want y'all to understand that.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you see, because even salt looks like sugar. Peace. I dropped the mic on people.
I love it. Oh man. Shoot. Hey, Mike was dope. All right, man. We gotta talk about the Eagles, man. We talked a lot of Cowboys. I gotta purify myself. We gotta talk real Washington stuff, but with some Eagle flavor to it. All right, Sunday, the football team takes on the Philadelphia Eagles. What challenges, Mo, does this Eagle squad pose for Washington?
I mean, it had to come on offense, and it depends if Jalen Hurts is healthy and he's playing. They got 2 first-round wide receivers. Even though Rager hasn't been doing as he should.
Yeah.
Heisman's looking good, man.
Heisman's
looking good. And I like the way that they're moving him around the offense. He can catch the ball and attack the field at multiple levels. He's deceptively fast, man. It's like people still don't know how fast he is, man.
But he's fast though. He was fast in college though.
That long stride is catching up to folk, man. He's eating up a lot of cushion. He's dropping stuff. Yeah, he's eating up a lot of cushion. He's dropping those hips. He's catching the ball away from his body, man. I like everything I'm seeing from Heisman. Early in the year, the secondary was a bit of a concern. The secondary for Washington was a bit.
They strapping now, bro.
Yeah, they cleaned it up a little bit, but the last, the slot is still something that I'm concerned about, and it's a lot of though. Yeah, I mean, overall they're doing well, but when I think about the slot receivers tend to do okay against the team. I take it back to like Hunter Renfrow the other day, even though Renfrow
is a beast.
I think Renfrow is good. And people don't give him credit because of his stature and what he looks like.
That's what it is. He's a beast though. Like he's been this good since Clemson. Like he's always what he's done. He's been very consistently doing.
He's been consistent with it. So do I think that Philly can win the game? I think Philly loses. Ultimately,
they can win.
I think Philly loses the game. Okay. I do think Philly loses the game. I think. Well, let me take that back. With the news that just came out today.
It makes it totally very hard.
It makes it very hard. But with the team that you had on Sunday, I would have said that Philly lost.
Yeah.
I think Washington football team, the offense would have rebounded. I'm interested in seeing if Terry's going to play with the concussion.
That's what I'm trying to figure out too.
Yeah. If Terry plays, I would have. It's a divisional game. I'm gonna just say that it's a divisional game. We know how those go. They can go. They can be up and down.
Yeah.
They can go any kind of way. So they got to be prepared. And with the news that just came out today, which I'm not gonna break yet until we get to it.
Yeah.
The news that just came out today, it makes it a little bit tougher and not knowing Terry's status. So.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it, but before we get into it, this team would definitely lose this game. The Eagles pose a lot of threats. You mentioned Smith, the wide receiver, Devontae Smith. Then we're talking about Jalen Hurts. I think there's a chance. I think it looks like Jalen's going to play. If he doesn't play, they got Gardner Minshew. But to be honest with you, I think a lot of even though Eagles fans they kind of are enamored with Minshew. I do think that Jalen Hurts for this Washington football team is the problem, right? He would be the problem because he's contained. If you look at Washington, I mean, for the last under Ron Rivera, the last 2 seasons, because we can only look at this regime, right? Over the last 2 seasons, even when the defense was playing good earlier, last season, and even the way they're playing this season during the stretch, they haven't been tested with a mobile quarterback. And when they've been playing good, good. I mean, Russ, people mention Russ, but it's a different Russ. Russ is more nowadays, not the same Russ that we all seen in the past, right? Mm-hmm. He wants to throw from the pocket. Mm-hmm. You saw Cam Newton, who, it's not the same Cam. And then, you mentioned, there's another mobile quarterback that I'm kind of losing thought of. But anyway, those individuals, they're not the same mobile quarterbacks. This is the real mobile quarterback. This is a dude with design runs. Mm-hmm. And Dak was one. And Dak is really in the same Dak. His injury has really hindered his mobility. I don't know if people peep game, but he's not the same mobile quarterback. Mm-hmm. But
Daniel Jones had a good rushing game.
No, I'm talking about when the defense played well. This stretch.
When they play well.
No, this stretch. No, I'm actually going to count that. That's just the argument. That's actually part of my argument. But when we look at the mobile quarterbacks they have seen this season, like Daniel Jones, who consistently torches this squad. It's on the ground and in the air, honestly, but definitely on the ground. We're talking about on the ground. Now you have a guy last season that was torching this squad in that game, right? Before they benched him for Sudfeld, right? He was actually running well. He was doing that. He was being a problem. So that he's a number one issue to me because what he can do with those legs and his design runs. He's a dynamic runner. He is. You know what I mean? You can't, and I'm not a big believer in banking for turnovers. I don't say, you got to turn them over because turnovers are a thing. Your defense has to force your defense has to catch it. They got to strip it. They got to fall on the football. There's so many things, so many variables that has to equate for you to actually get that turnover, right? So we're looking at for what it is. He's going to be out there running, and they're going to have to find a way to contain him. If they can contain him, totally confident the team can win the football game. If they can contain him on the ground, confident they can win the football game. But if they don't, you're gonna lose the football game. That's how I learned lean with Jalen with that situation, because if Hurts is out there running, doing this thing, it's gonna be hard because the Eagles defense ain't no joke either. Regardless of what people, it's not a joke. That defensive line is real. You know what I'm saying? You still got Fletcher Cox out there. You still got him. Still one of the baddest boys on the planet. So yeah, I mean, Washington has. I think those are to me. If you told me the number one concern on the Eagles team for me is definitely Jalen Hurts. If he that's if he plays. If he doesn't play, if I'm a Washington fan, I'm like, and I'm a Washington player, I'm like, thank you for not playing Kim. Thank you for believing the hype of Gardner Minshew. Thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you. If you want it, thank you. You know what I mean? So
I think there's a lot of interesting points about this, right? So we mentioned it earlier that news broke today, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday it was announced that multiple players tested positive for COVID-19, including, I believe, the team sack leader,
Jonathan Allen. Yeah.
John Allen, right?
Yep.
Who stands at 7.5 sacks right now. Now you add Kendall Fuller to that. Tim Settle, who's been an integral part of that defensive line, is also on that list. This is right on the heels of the news that Logan Thomas is out for the year with the ACL. Yeah. Yep. Now Terry has a concussion. Yep. Right. And
you don't know what's going to happen with McKissick.
You don't know what's going to happen with McKissick. He's been out, right? Yep. He's missed the last 2 games. So with all of those potential top tier players on this team missing the game against Philly, how damaging could it be for the Washington football team on Sunday?
I think at first, when it was just Jonathan Allen, I love Jonathan Allen's been playing like a dog. You know what I'm saying? All pros, caliber. Go ahead.
Can I get in on that?
Go
Jonathan Allen, I, Muhammad Karoma, owe you an apology. when you got paid, I said, I'm not paying nobody that much money for 2.5, 3.5 sacks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
My apologies, boss, man.
Yeah. He's playing like an
He's
absolute
like
dominating demon.
Pro Bowl
all
for
like
sure.
he's got some. If he's missing games now, which is gonna if he misses this game, obviously hinder stats and hinder alignments and all pro or whatever. But
he's on pace for 10.
Yeah, he was on pace for 10, and he's getting constant pressure. I mean, if you watch, he's getting constant. He may not get there, but he's causing pressure. But yeah, he's missing him is gonna be big. But if it was just him, because of the depth of the D line I would be like, for this one game, they may be able to kind of without him. But yeah, he's still tough. Don't get me wrong. You want all your dogs out there, but if you look at Deron Payne has been playing great football down the stretch. You got Matt Ioannidis. So within your interior, you've been kind of holding it down. But the thing about it is, and I was telling on another show, is that they've been playing 3 of them dudes at the same time. So you're not going to have that, right? And that's because you don't have Chase and you don't have Montez. You play all 3 of them. Yeah, now Williams. So you've been playing. Yeah. So you playing all 3 of them. So you're still getting pressure because these 3 dudes are hard to block anyway. Regardless, these dudes are hard to block. Now you're missing one. So now I was like, all right, well, if you're missing one, you got Tim Settle. Now, Tim Settle's on the same thing. Now you don't have that. So yeah, it's going to be tough. I expect the Eagles to now, knowing that they're going to be a little lighter in the inside, the Eagles may want to run the football a little bit more.
Pound the block.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's going to be challenging. So it goes back to what we saw with Scott. It goes back to Scott Turner and company. Like, all right, if it's going to be a little harder on the inside to run, it's going to be a little bit easier to run the ball football on the inside. You may have to try to find a way to keep this defense off the field because they don't have the same rotations. I mean, they're going to get tired. So you're going to have to find ways to keep them off the field. Meaning what? You're going to have longer drives. You're going to have to really own that type of football, sustain them drives and own that kind of football because you're missing bodies. Kendall Fuller's on that list. Kendall Fuller has been awesome on the outside, moving from nickel to outside. He's way like I don't know when it happened, but he's better on the outside now than he was in nickel. At first, it was the opposite. He was better in nickel than the outside. Now he's better on the outside. So he's now on that list. Now there's an opportunity to talk to the homie Lake Lewis before. Shout out to Lake Lewis from Sports Journey. He said that there is an opportunity that some of these individuals will be able to play. But you'll know by Thursday. So we'll know by Thursday. But yeah, man, COVID's hitting everybody. It's hitting the whole league. There's a lot of teams. I mean, a lot of the whole NFL's been hit hard. So, but obviously for the Washington football team, this is definitely tough because you're going to playoff. You're trying to make a run, right? I don't want to make a run playoffs, but they're trying to make a run to get in, right? To get into the dance. But yeah, this hinders it.
It's highly contested. It's highly contested. I believe there's a couple of teams that are 6 and 7.
And to what Mike was saying, it's the NFC East. You playing against division teams. I don't want to hear nothing about this team being easier than the other. Everybody tough, man. Like everybody,
everybody knows what you
everybody knows you want to do.
Run.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody knows. So
you beat the man in front of you.
Yeah, because just like the Cowboys game, regardless of the fact, like Cowboys, they had a big lead. Washington came back, because you get but it wasn't. But the defense played extra better than they normally. Like even as much as I even compliment the defense in over the last some odd weeks, but they played better than they played over the last. I probably would argue to say this is their best defensive game, to be honest with you, and that's because of what they had to endure during with turnovers and whatnot, and still holding the team to kick field goals rather than getting touchdowns, or getting turnovers or this, that, and the other. So, yeah, it's something about just playing your division. So yeah, you playing the Eagles. The Eagles are a strong team, and the Eagles look at the resume. They beat some good teams, man.
For sure.
They beat some good teams.
Sure. They say it's any given Sunday, man. So we're gonna have to wait till Sunday to see because, Thursday we'll have a better idea because we'll know who can play and who can't play.
Yeah,
and we can get into all of that. But
definitely.
It's going to be interesting to see who lines up and how effective they can play if they can hold down the fort for one game until the cavalry comes back, man. Right now, between injury and COVID, you got 6 D linemen out.
That's tough.
6 D linemen potentially be out.
Yeah, man.
Or 5 D linemen. I'm sorry, 5 D linemen potentially out because Ioannidis is still on.
Still there, yeah.
Ioannidis is still on. So it's that's going to be a tall order for anyone, because you're going to have to replace those guys with guys off the street, off the practice squad that haven't played all year. Communication errors. You're talking about guys that are used to rotating, having to play much larger roles. You're talking about Deron Payne probably feeling like he has to hold down the fort and do more than he's had to do. So it's going to be interesting to see. I typically would ask you for a prediction of the game, and I think we still gonna get it off. But like, with not knowing the status of a lot of players,
I don't think it's fair to do all that.
Yeah, I don't even think it's fair. I think we just sit back and watch
and see what happens, man.
And see what happens, man. And we talk about it after the game on Sunday.
After the game on Sunday, man. You already know what time it is. So make sure you catch us on. Actually, good point. Catch us Sunday on the Fox Sports Radio YouTube. That's the 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia. 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Fox Sports Radio YouTube page. We have our Watch the Football Team post-game show live every Sunday, Monday, or whatever after a football game. So make sure you check it out. And also subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search all Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene. And also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. We appreciate you all for listening. Appreciate the homie Mike for jumping on the show to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I know some of y'all are like, damn, we talking about the Cowboys, but hey, you know, we had to break bread, man. That's what we do. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, 4 ages. Yiddig, deuces, a mega. Lead us out, big homie.
Peace.